Nobody builds a $1 billion brand selling drain cleaning services. Nobody raises venture capital for a laundromat. Nobody goes viral on LinkedIn announcing they just started a parking lot business. And yet the people who own drain cleaning services, laundromats, and parking lots are quietly, consistently, reliably becoming millionaires. While the people chasing exciting businesses, disruptive startups, and viral product ideas are burning through savings and producing nothing. The most reliable path to wealth through business ownership is not exciting. It never has been. The businesses that produce the most consistent millionaires are the businesses that solve problems people will always have, in markets that never disappear, with competition that stays manageable, because most people are too busy looking for something interesting to notice what is actually working. Today, I am giving you 5 of them. 5 boring businesses with genuinely high success rates, low barriers to entry, and a track record of producing millionaires across generations. And I am saving the most overlooked one for last, a business that every single person reading this has used at least once this week, that generates margins most tech companies would be envious of, and that almost nobody considers starting because it sounds too simple to work. That one is coming at the end. Stay with me. Let's get into it. Number 1, self-storage. Self-storage is one of the most consistently profitable real estate-adjacent businesses in the world, and operates on a model so simple it almost sounds made up. You build or acquire a facility. You divide it into units. You rent those units to people who have more stuff than space. You collect rent every month for storing things that cost you almost nothing to store because the units are unheated, unstaffed for most of the day, and require minimal ongoing maintenance compared to most commercial property. The demand for self-storage is structurally driven and nearly recession-proof. People use storage when they move, and people are always moving. They use it when they downsize, when they divorce, when a family member dies, and they inherit belongings they cannot bring themselves to discard. The triggers for self-storage are life events, and life events do not pause during economic downturns. During recessions, when people downsize their homes, demand for storage frequently increases. Occupancy rates at well-located self-storage facilities consistently run between 80 and 90%. Profit margins after operating costs typically land between 40 and 60% of revenue. The business scales because additional units generate revenue without requiring additional staff proportional to the growth. Warren Buffett has called self-storage one of the most reliably profitable businesses in America. The industry in the United States alone generates over $40 billion annually. The millionaires it produces are not flashy. They are simply people who built or bought facilities in growing markets and collected rent. Number 2, commercial cleaning. The commercial cleaning industry is unglamorous, physically demanding, and one of the most consistently profitable service businesses available to someone starting with minimal capital. Every office building, retail space, restaurant, medical facility, and school in your city needs to be cleaned. Not occasionally, every single day. The contract to clean a mid-sized office building generates recurring monthly revenue that requires no ongoing sales effort once the contract is signed. Only consistent delivery of the service promised. Commercial cleaning businesses can be started with a few $1,000s in equipment and scaled through contract acquisition and staff hiring, without the business owner needing to clean anything personally once the initial client base is established. The business model is built on contracts rather than transactions, which means revenue is predictable and retention rates are high. Most commercial cleaning contracts renew for years without the client shopping for alternatives if the service quality is maintained. Profit margins in commercial cleaning typically run between 15 and 25% on revenue. The path from startup to $1 million annual revenue has been achieved by thousands of commercial cleaning businesses across every market on earth. The barrier to entry is not capital. It is a willingness to do something most people consider beneath them, which is exactly what keeps competition manageable. Number 3, pest control. Pest control is a business that customers call in a state of genuine urgency, pay without price sensitivity, and return to on a regular schedule, because the problem they are solving does not resolve itself permanently. Every home, every restaurant, every hotel, every food production facility, and every commercial property is a potential pest control customer. The triggers: a cockroach in a kitchen, mice in a ceiling, termites in a frame. Produce calls that happen immediately and do not get comparison shopped extensively because a customer wants a problem solved now. The business model that makes pest control particularly lucrative is the service contract. A one-time treatment generates a transaction. A quarterly or monthly service contract generates recurring revenue from the same customer indefinitely. Converting initial treatment customers to service contract customers is a primary wealth-building mechanism in this industry, and the retention rates on service contracts are extraordinarily high because the alternative, canceling and risking the problem returning, is not psychologically comfortable for most homeowners and businesses. Profit margins in pest control run between 20 and 35%. The industry in the United States alone exceeds $20 billion in annual revenue. Family-owned pest control businesses have been producing millionaires consistently for over a century. Number 4, vending machines. This one sounds almost too passive to be real, which is why most people dismiss it without looking at the numbers. A well-placed vending machine in a high-traffic location, a hospital, a large office building, a university dormitory, a manufacturing facility, generates revenue 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no staff, no customer service, and minimal ongoing time from the owner beyond restocking and maintenance. The capital required to start is modest. A single machine costs between $3,000 and $10,000, depending on type. A network of 20 to 30 well-placed machines, each generating between $300 and $800 in monthly net profit after cost of goods, produces an annual income of between $72,000 and $280,000 from a business that requires roughly 20 hours of work per week to maintain. The path to scaling is straightforward. Use revenue from the initial machines to acquire additional machines, expand into better located placements, and compound the asset base over time. The people building vending machine empires of 100, 200, or 300 machines are not visible on any Forbes list. They are running genuinely boring operations that generate genuinely extraordinary passive income. Number 5, junk removal. Here's the one I promised you. The business everyone uses, and almost nobody considers starting. Every home renovation, every office clear out, every deceased estate, every construction site generates waste that needs to be removed. Not eventually, immediately. And the person who removes it gets paid very well for a service that requires a truck, some labor, and the willingness to handle things that other people do not want to touch. Junk removal businesses operate on margins between 40 and 60% of revenue because the primary costs, fuel, disposal fees, and labor, are predictable and manageable relative to what customers pay. The average junk removal job generates between $200 and $500 in revenue and takes between 1 and 3 hours to complete. A single truck with a 2-person crew operating 5 days a week at moderate volume generates between $8,000 and $15,000 in monthly revenue. The genius of the junk removal business model is a referral network it builds automatically. Every homeowner who uses the service tells their neighbors. Every real estate agent who finds a service reliable calls back repeatedly. Every estate lawyer who needs regular clearouts becomes a recurring source of work. The customer acquisition cost after the first 6 months of operation approaches zero for well-reviewed operators. Brian Scudamore built a junk removal company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK from a single truck into a franchise generating over $400 million in annual system-wide revenue. He is not the only person who got rich removing other people's unwanted belongings. He is simply the most visible example of a pattern that repeats constantly in markets of every size. The businesses in this video will not make you famous. They will not generate press coverage or investor pitch meetings or product launch events. They will not become the subject of a documentary or a podcast episode about disruption and innovation. They will make you wealthy, quietly, consistently, over time, which is, for most people, exactly the point. If you found this useful, subscribe and I will see you in the next one.